We are at Rudyard Lake. It's the 1st of March 2025. It's nice weather. And this is Rudyard Lake. I've never been here before, but it's a pretty big lake. That was a preview just to keep your interest. Now we'll start the proper video. So the plan is to drive to the Knot Inn in Rushden Spencer and park in their camper van space, which I've already pre-booked, and then walk to Rudyard Lake from there. Now I'm in a lay-by, which is mainly there to give you views of the lake. So I'm about a mile or so away from the Knot Inn here. Apparently this white building on the side of the road, Lake View, was a cafe and garage and petrol station back in the day. I'll find you a photograph from when it was actually in use a few years back. And then when I've walked to Rudyard Lake and back, I'm booked in the restaurant at the Knot Inn, and they have a St David's Day menu. And it's all stuff I've never eaten before, so I'm gonna have the full St David's Day menu. So Rudyard Lake is about 2.5 miles long, and it covers 168 acres. As I said, I've never been here before. I've been to Rushden Spencer, I've been to the Knot Inn, but I've never been to Rudyard Lake. So there's videos on my channel of Rushden Spencer, the Knot Inn, and St Lawrence's Church at Rushden Spencer. But on my last visit, which was my first visit, I didn't get around to going to the lake, and I didn't stop in this lay-by. So this is my first view of the lake. So we're driving the Volkswagen T4 yellow camper van. The plan is to get to the Knot Inn, get parked up, just let them know I'm there, go straight to the lake and get as much of the lake videoed as possible, and then come back to the van, get ready, and I've got a table booked for 6:30 p.m. in the Knot Inn's restaurant. And then I'll have a lie-in Sunday morning, and then pack the van up and drive back home. It's a distance of about 90 miles each way. Okay, let's drive the last few minutes to the Knot Inn and get the van parked. Right, now I'm walking alongside Rudyard Lake. Right, let's read some history from the internet. In 1797, parliamentary permission was granted for the dam to be constructed, flooding the picturesque valley. Thus began the fascinating story of industrial and social change within the area. For 50 years after the reservoir was built, Rudyard was a peaceful place, with only the surrounding landowners allowed to access the shoreline and the lake itself. 1849 marked the opening of the North Staffordshire Railway Churnup Valley branch. This didn't go down too well with Fanny Bostock, who had inherited Cliff Park Hall from her cousin and lover John Haworth. She fought a 5-year-long high court action and ultimately secured a permanent injunction preventing the NSR from using the lake for commercial activities. In 1903, North Staffordshire Railway Company acquired the Cliff Park estate, and a year later they secured an Act of Parliament to allow commercial activities on the lake. After overturning the Bostock Act of 1856, the NSR were now empowered to rent out motor launches and rowing boats on the lake, and by 1905 a golf course had been laid out using Cliff Park as the clubhouse. A number of boat houses began to appear, including the Lady of the Lake, built for the Davenport family, silk manufacturers from Leek. Rudyard Kipling was named after the lake. His father, John Lockwood Kipling, was working in Burslem and met Alice MacDonald in 1863 and courted her at Rudyard Lake. Legend has it that the village of Rudyard was named after Ralph Rudyard, a local man reputed to have killed Richard III at the Battle of Bosworth Field. Rudyard Lake was constructed by the engineer John Rennie for the Trent and Mersey Canal Company in 1797 to 1798 to feed the Caldon Canal. The reservoir had been proposed in 1796 and would have been connected to the upper level of the Caldon Canal by a feeder, but in order to win the consent of landowners, the 3.3 mile section below Leek was made navigable. The bill to promote the construction failed in Parliament, and there was a suggestion for a bigger scheme involving a canal from Marple on the Peak Forest Canal to the Cowden Canal, passing through Macclesfield and Rudyard. So the lake is around 2 miles or maybe a bit more long and a quarter of a mile wide. It was formed by creating a 63-foot earth dam at the southern end of the steep wooded valley, which is faced with stone on the upstream side to prevent erosion. A spillway, some 60 feet wide, was built at the eastern side of the dam and feeds the 2.5 mile feeder that carries water to the Leek branch. The main source of water supply to the lake is a feeder that runs from the headwaters of the River Dane. This was refurbished in the mid-1990s by the Waterway Recovery Group. The North Staffordshire Railway successfully took over the canal company and lake, and then people started to come on day trips. Tourists began visiting the lake. Visitors included John Lockwood Kipling and Alice MacDonald, the parents of Rudyard Kipling, who met there on a trip from Burslem, which we've already mentioned. They liked the place so much they named their son after it. By the end of the 19th century, crowds of up to 20,000 people could visit the lake on some days. Its popularity continued into the early 20th century, and over 20,000 visitors were carried to the site on 88 trains on a particular day in 1913. The first man to swim the English Channel, Matthew Webb, entertained crowds by demonstrating his swimming in the lake, and Carlos Trowler, the African Blondini, performed a tightrope walk across the lake. The railway was shut down in 1960 or so, probably by Dr. Beeching, and the railway line is now part of the Staffordshire Way footpath.
Hello. Hello. How are you? All right.
But there is a small steam railway running alongside this lake. I think I've rabbited on long enough about history and whatever, so I think I'll just leave you to accompany me down the side of the reservoir and just have a look at the scenery. There's plenty of information on the internet for anyone who wants to know about it.
Putting you in my hair.
Go on, boss. Get that video footage up.
Okay, nearly back to the van, and then dinner at 6:30 p.m.